The sky was broken. Smoke covered the stars, and the air was heavy with the smell of fire and blood. A shape moved between the clouds, huge wings torn and burning. It was a dragon, the last of his kind, and tonight he was dying. His scales, once bright like molten gold, were cracked and dark with ash. His chest rose and fell slowly, every breath a struggle. Flames dripped from his mouth, not with power, but like the last sparks of a dying fire. His eyes were sharp but tired, eyes that had seen centuries of war and glory. He had fought endless battles. He had torn ships apart with his claws, brought armies to their knees with his fire. Entire worlds knew his name, and many feared to even whisper it. But all creatures, no matter how strong, one day meet death. And death was close now. The dragon's wings failed. His body fell, crashing down through the trees, shaking the earth when he landed. The forest shivered, birds flew into the night, and silence followed. He lay there, broken and bleeding, his body too heavy to move. His heart told him the truth. This was the end. He thought about the enemies who hunted him. Machines with steel wings, weapons made only to kill him. Tonight they had almost succeeded. Their fire burned through his armor. Their rockets pierced his flesh. He had escaped, but at a cost too high. His life was flowing out drop by drop. The dragon closed his eyes. He remembered the old days when he was feared, when the skies belonged to him. He remembered victories, treasures, the songs of his people, dragons who were now all gone. He was the last, alone, and now death waited. But then, something strange, a sound, small, gentle, not the roar of machines, not the shout of hunters. It was the sound of footsteps, light, careful, but brave enough to come closer. The dragon opened one eye. Through the smoke he saw it. A boy, a human boy. He was small, fragile, with clothes torn from travel. His hair was dusty, his hands empty. He should have been running for his life. He should have been screaming in fear. But he was not. The boy stood only a few steps away, looking up at the giant dragon. His face showed no terror, only curiosity. His eyes were wide, not with panic, but with something else. Something the dragon had not seen in centuries. The dragon growled weakly. His voice shook the ground. "Leave, before I end you." The boy did not move. He took another step closer. In his small hand he held something, a flask of water. He raised it slowly, not afraid. The dragon's breath caught. This was madness. A single puff of fire could turn the child to ash. Why did he not fear? Why did he come closer to a monster lying on the edge of death? The boy spoke. His voice was soft, but it cut through the silence. "You are hurt." The dragon blinked. He had been called many names. Destroyer, Terror, Deathwing. But never had a human looked at him like this, with pity instead of fear. The boy came even nearer, his small feet pressing against the blackened earth. He lifted the flask higher. "Drink. You need it." The dragon's pride screamed inside him. A dragon does not take mercy. A dragon bows to no one. Yet his throat was burning, his body trembling. He wanted to reject the offer, but his eyes stayed on the boy's face. There was no trick, no fear, only a strange courage. Slowly, the dragon lowered his head, until his mouth was close enough. The boy tilted the flask, letting drops of water fall. For the first time in centuries, the dragon tasted kindness. It was nothing compared to the rivers he had once flown over, but it felt different, felt alive. The dragon pulled back, confused. Why had he accepted? Why had he listened? His chest ached, not from wounds, but from something deeper, something he did not understand. The boy put the empty flask aside and looked at the giant beast. "You don't have to fight anymore," he said simply. The words cut deeper than any blade. The dragon stared at the boy. Fight? Fighting was all he had ever known. From the moment of his birth, his wings carried him into war. His fire had been his only language. His claws, his only truth. To stop fighting meant to stop living. And yet, here was this boy, weak, small, helpless. But he stood before death itself without fear. The dragon's heart, heavy with pain, asked a silent question. What kind of creature is this? The forest grew quiet around them. The stars watched from above. Somewhere, far away, the machines of his hunters searched for him, but for the moment the world was still. The dragon closed his eyes again, not from weakness, but from thought. He felt something stir inside him, something old, buried under centuries of hate. Hope? No, it was too soon for hope. But curiosity, yes. Why would this fragile creature not fear him? Why would he try to save him? The dragon's claws dug into the dirt. His chest rose and fell. His body was broken, but his mind was alive with questions. He should kill the boy, end the risk, crush the foolish human who dared come close. That was the way of the dragon. That was the way of survival. But he did not move. Instead, he found himself watching, listening, wondering. The boy sat near his head, not speaking, not running. He simply stayed, calm, like a guardian beside a wounded beast. The dragon felt the weight of his gaze. And for the first time in his long life, the dragon hesitated. The night grew darker, but the forest was still alive. The fire from the dragon's fall had burned out, leaving smoke that curled into the sky like whispers. Ash floated in the air, glowing faintly in the moonlight. The dragon lay still, his body too heavy to rise. His wounds burned with pain, and his strength drained like water from a broken jar. Yet his eyes did not close. They were locked on the strange figure sitting close to him. The boy. The boy was quiet, calm, almost too calm for someone standing near death itself. He did not look away, did not tremble, and did not run. His small frame seemed weak against the massive shadow of the dragon. Yet his presence carried something unusual, a steady courage. The dragon's breath rumbled like thunder. Why are you here, child? Do you not fear me? The boy tilted his head. His voice was soft but steady. You are hurt. I want to help. The dragon almost laughed, though the sound came out as a harsh growl. Help? What could this tiny human do for him? His wounds were deep, his strength fading. No herb, no water, no touch could change that. Yet the boy spoke as if his words carried truth. Help? The dragon whispered, his voice heavy like stone. What is a child's hand against death? The boy did not answer with fear. Instead, he reached into a small bag tied around his waist. From it, he pulled a handful of crushed leaves. The dragon's eyes narrowed as the boy mixed them with water from his flask, creating a paste. You bleed, the boy said simply. This will stop it. The dragon lowered his head slightly, watching. The boy stepped forward carefully and pressed the paste onto one of the dragon's wounds. The touch was gentle, like the brush of wind on broken skin. The dragon tensed. His first instinct was to snap, to push the boy away with fang or claw. But he did not. Something in him, something hidden deep, forced him to stay still. The boy's hands worked quickly, pressing herbs against wounds far too large for him to heal. His fingers were small, his actions clumsy compared to skilled healers, yet every movement carried purpose. The dragon studied him in silence. This boy, why does he not fear? Why does he touch the skin of a beast who could crush him? The boy whispered as he worked. Not prayers, not chants, but words meant only for the dragon. You have fire in you still. You are not gone yet. The dragon felt his pride sting. Fire? His fire was fading, his power almost lost. But the boy's voice, it made his chest tighten. It reminded him of something he could not name. Minutes passed. The forest around them grew colder. The boy sat close, wrapping the wounds with strips of cloth torn from his own clothes. His face was pale, his body tired, but he did not stop. Finally, the dragon spoke again. You waste your time. I am no friend to your kind. I have burned cities. I have ended armies. Why save me? The boy met his gaze. His eyes were not filled with hatred, not with fear, but with something the dragon had not seen in centuries, compassion. Because you are alive, the boy said, and life should not be left to die alone. The dragon's heart stirred, confused. These words struck harder than the weapons of his enemies. He had been alone for so long that he forgot what it felt like to be seen as more than a monster. A long silence fell. The only sound was the soft crackle of leaves and the slow breath of the dragon. At last, the boy sat back, his work done. He looked small, almost broken, with his clothes torn and hands stained with the dragon's blood. Yet he smiled faintly. "You don't have to fight anymore," the boy whispered, repeating the words he had spoken before. The dragon closed his eyes. His thoughts were heavy. All his life had been war, endless fighting, endless burning. To stop fighting was to stop being. And yet, the boy's voice made him wonder. Could there be something beyond war? The forest shifted. Somewhere far away, a howl rose into the night. The boy turned his head, alert, but did not move from his place near the dragon. "You should run," the dragon murmured. "Hunters will return. If they find you here, you will die." The boy shook his head. "Then I stay. I will not leave you." The dragon's chest rumbled, not in anger, but in something strange, something he could not name. This child defied every law of survival. He chose to stay with a dying beast instead of saving himself. The dragon's golden eyes locked on the boy's, and for the first time, the dragon felt something he had not felt in centuries. Not pity, not shame, but respect. The boy yawned softly, tired from his effort. He leaned back against the dragon's massive side, resting as if the beast were not death itself but a shield. The dragon stayed still, afraid to move, afraid to break this strange moment. As the night deepened, the dragon's thoughts twisted like smoke. His body still burned with pain, but his mind was alive with questions. Why this boy? Why this courage? Why did he feel a spark inside him again? Something almost forgotten. The stars above were silent. The earth was still. Only the boy's steady breathing filled the night. The dragon did not know what tomorrow would bring. But he knew one thing with certainty. This child was no ordinary human, and his courage might change everything. And with that thought, the dragon let his eyes close. Not in death, not in surrender, but in a strange, uneasy peace. The morning came slowly. A soft light pushed through the smoke, painting the forest in shades of silver. Birds returned, their songs weak but alive. The fire from the dragon's fall was gone, leaving only black scars on the earth. The dragon stirred. His body was still heavy, his wounds still raw, but he felt something strange. His chest was not as weak as before. His breath, though shallow, was stronger than it had been in the night. He opened one golden eye. The boy was there. He sat not far away, curled against a tree, his head resting on his knees. His small body shook with sleep, his breathing soft and steady. He had stayed the whole night, keeping watch beside a monster who could have ended him with a single strike. The dragon's gaze lingered. For a long moment he did not understand. Why would a human remain by his side? Fear should have driven him away. Hatred should have burned in his eyes. Yet the boy had stayed. Memories rose like ghosts. The dragon remembered the first time he had seen humans. Long ago, when he was young, he had flown over their villages. He remembered their fear, the way they ran, the way they screamed. To him, they were prey, weak and fragile. Their weapons could not pierce his scales. Their walls could not hold his fire. But humans did not stop. They built stronger weapons, faster machines. They rose from the dirt to the skies, and soon they hunted dragons as dragons once hunted them. One by one, his kind fell. Their wings burned, their fire silenced, until only he remained. The dragon's chest tightened. He had hated humans, hated their hunger for power, their endless wars. He had burned them without mercy, believing it was justice. But now, here was a boy, small and fragile, showing him kindness. His claws dug into the earth. Is this child a trick? A trap sent by my enemies? But as he watched the boy sleep, he saw no lie. The boy had nothing, no weapon, no machine, no army. Only his hands, his courage, and his strange kindness. The dragon turned his gaze to the sky. Smoke drifted into the morning air, and far above, shadows moved. Machines. His hunters were still searching. They would not stop until he was dead. He growled softly, the sound shaking the ground. The boy stirred awake, rubbing his eyes. He looked at the dragon and smiled faintly, as if waking beside a giant beast was the most natural thing in the world. "You are awake," the boy said. The dragon's eyes narrowed. "Why do you stay, human? Do you not know what I am?" The boy tilted his head. "You are hurt. You need someone." The dragon's chest rumbled with dark laughter. "Need? I need nothing. I have taken life, ended kingdoms. I am death itself. What can a boy give me?" The boy stood, brushing dirt from his clothes. He looked small against the dragon's massive form, yet his voice was calm. "I can give you time." The dragon blinked. "Time?" "Yes," the boy said. "Time to heal. Time to rest. Time to choose something different." The dragon stared. For centuries, his choices had been simple: fight or die. No one had ever spoken to him of another path. The words felt strange, like a language he had forgotten. He lowered his head until his eye was level with the boy. "Why me? Why help a beast who has destroyed your kind?" The boy's gaze did not falter. "Because you are alive. And if you are alive, you can change." The dragon's heart shook. Change? Could he change? Could a creature made of war and fire walk another path? He remembered the faces of his enemies, the screams of those he had burned. He remembered the glory of victory, the taste of power. Yet none of it filled the hollow inside him now. None of it gave him the warmth he felt in this single moment, watching a boy stand fearless before him. The dragon closed his eyes. For the first time, he questioned everything. The boy stepped closer, placing a hand on the dragon's massive claw. His touch was warm, human, fragile, and yet it did not tremble. "You don't have to be alone anymore," the boy whispered. The words pierced deeper than any weapon. Alone. Yes, he had been alone for so long that he had forgotten what it felt like to hear another voice without fear. The forest grew quiet. The morning sun rose higher, but shadows stretched across the trees. The dragon lifted his head sharply. He could hear them, distant engines, the hum of machines moving closer. His hunters were near. The boy noticed too. He looked toward the sky, his face tense. Yet he did not step away from the dragon. He stood firm, his small body ready to face whatever came. The dragon's chest filled with fire, weak but burning. He growled low. "They come for me. If you stay, you will die." The boy looked up at him, his eyes steady. "Then I stay." The dragon stared, stunned by the boy's answer. He did not understand this courage, this foolishness, this strength hidden in such a fragile frame. Memories of the past warred inside him. The dragon he had been would crush the boy, destroy him, and fly into battle alone. But something inside him had changed. Something born from the boy's kindness, from his words, from his courage. He could not explain it, but he felt it. A bond. The engines grew louder. The hunters were close. The boy clenched his fists, ready to stand beside the dragon, no matter the cost. And the dragon, broken and bleeding, lifted his head with a new question burning in his mind. Could this boy be the reason I still live? The forest no longer felt safe. The morning light had grown brighter, but with it came the sound of death. A low hum spread through the sky, growing louder with each passing second. The dragon knew that sound too well. The hunters were close. His golden eyes narrowed as he raised his head, weak but alert. Far above, dark shapes cut through the clouds. Machines, sleek, silver, merciless. Their wings were sharp, their engines roaring like beasts of steel. They were built for one purpose only, to kill him. The boy looked up, his face pale but calm. His hands clenched at his sides, yet he did not step away from the dragon. Instead, he moved closer, standing near the giant beast as if he could protect him. The dragon rumbled, his voice heavy and dark. "Foolish child, you must run. These machines care nothing for you. They will burn this place to ash." But the boy shook his head. "No, I will not leave you." The dragon stared at him in disbelief. Even now, with death flying overhead, the boy chose to stay. The courage in his eyes was brighter than the fire in any dragon's heart. The machines drew closer, their weapons glowing faintly. The forest trembled as the hum became a roar. Birds fled, scattering into the sky. Trees shook as if they, too, feared what was coming. The dragon tried to rise. His body screamed with pain, his wings heavy like stone. He managed only to lift his head and spread his claws. Fire burned inside him, but it was weak, too weak to unleash the fury he once commanded. The boy saw his struggle and stepped forward. "You are not alone," he said firmly. The dragon's chest rumbled. "I am too broken. I cannot fight them." The boy looked straight into his eyes. "Then I will stand with you." The dragon felt something stir, something old and powerful. The words of the child lit a spark inside him, a spark he thought was gone. The first machine broke through the clouds. Its metal body gleamed in the sun. It opened fire, and the forest exploded. Trees shattered, dirt flew, the ground shook with violence. The boy stumbled but held his ground. The dragon roared, his voice shaking the earth. He unleashed a stream of fire, weak but fierce. It struck the machine, burning its wings. The hunter spiraled, crashing into the forest with a thunderous blast. But more followed. 5, 10, maybe more, circling like vultures above the wounded beast. Their weapons lit up, aiming down at the dragon. The boy ran to the dragon's side. He grabbed a stick from the ground. It was no weapon, just a piece of wood, but he held it like a sword. His body trembled, but he faced the sky without fear. The dragon watched him, stunned. This boy, he knows he cannot win, and yet he fights. Why? The hunters attacked. Streams of fire rained down, tearing apart the forest. The dragon tried to shield the boy with his body, spreading his wings as best as he could. Pain ripped through him, but he held on. He roared again, his fire striking another machine, sending it falling in flames. But with every attack, his strength slipped further away. His vision blurred, his breath grew heavy. The boy cried out, "Stay with me! You cannot fall now." The dragon's heart thundered. He had faced countless battles, countless enemies, but never had he fought with someone at his side. Never had he fought for someone else. The machines circled lower, their weapons charging for a final strike. The ground shook as they prepared to end the dragon once and for all. The boy stepped forward, placing himself between the dragon and the hunters. His small figure looked fragile against the storm of steel, yet his voice rang clear. "If you want him, you will have to go through me." The dragon's breath caught. His golden eyes widened. "This child protects me? Me who has destroyed his kind." The hunters did not pause. They dived, their engines screaming, weapons glowing bright. Death was seconds away. The dragon's heart roared inside him. Pain tore through his body, but his fire rose, hotter than before. He spread his wings, forcing them into the air. His roar split the sky, a sound so fierce it shook the machines. With the last of his strength, he launched into the sky. His claws tore through one hunter, his fire engulfed another. The boy shielded his eyes as the forest lit with flame. But the dragon's strength faded too quickly. His wings faltered, his body heavy. He fell back to the earth, crashing down beside the boy. His chest heaved, his fire nothing but smoke now. The machines circled again, unharmed numbers ready to strike. The dragon's eyes dimmed. He had nothing left. His body refused to rise. The boy dropped the stick and ran to his side. He placed both hands on the dragon's scales. His voice steady though his eyes were wet. "You cannot die here. Not like this. You are not finished yet." The dragon stared at him, weak but listening. And in that moment, as death closed in, he realized something powerful. This boy, this fragile human, had given him something no battle ever had. Hope. The hunters dived again, engines screaming, weapons burning. The forest trembled as the dragon prepared for the end. And then the boy moved. From his bag, he pulled a strange object, small and glowing faintly with blue light. The dragon's eyes widened. He had seen such power before, long ago in the wars of men. But how could a child carry such a thing? The boy held it high, his voice fierce. "Not while I stand with him." The object lit brighter, glowing like a star. Energy pulsed through the air, rushing into the dragon's broken body. His heart thundered. His wounds burned, not with pain, but with fire, new fire. Strength poured into him, a power beyond his own. The dragon rose. His wings spread wide, glowing with the same light. His eyes blazed like suns. The hunters froze in the sky, their machines trembling before the storm that had awakened. The dragon roared, a sound of rebirth, of fire reborn. The forest shook, the sky cracked, and the hunters faced not a dying beast, but a living legend. And beside him, small but unbroken, stood the boy. The forest burned with light. The dragon stood tall again, his wings spread wide, his golden eyes blazing like fire reborn. Energy flowed through his body, stronger than anything he had felt in centuries. His wounds no longer bled. His chest no longer ached. Power rushed in his veins, not just his own, but something greater. And beside him stood the boy. In his hands, the strange object still glowed, pulsing like a beating heart. The light spread from the boy to the dragon, binding them together in a storm of energy. The dragon could feel it. The boy was no ordinary child. The hunters in the sky circled, their metal bodies trembling before this sudden storm. Their machines were built to fight a beast on the edge of death, not a dragon reborn with power beyond imagination. The dragon raised his head and roared. The sound cracked the air, shaking the earth and splitting the sky. Flames burst from his jaws, brighter and hotter than before. One hunter fell instantly, its wings melting, its body crashing into the ground. The boy shielded his eyes, the glow of the object still bright in his hands. The dragon turned his head slightly, speaking through fire and thunder. "What is this power, child? What have you given me?" The boy's voice trembled, but his words were strong. "It is not mine. It was left behind by those who came before. My people found it, but they feared it. They said it was too strong. But I kept it. I knew one day it would be needed." The dragon's eyes narrowed. He recognized the energy. Long ago, in the Great Wars, humans had created devices like this, ancient weapons, ancient sources of life. Many dragons had died because of them. And now, one burned inside him, not as a weapon, but as strength. He growled low, not in anger, but in wonder. "You gave it to me." The boy nodded. "Because you are not finished." "Not yet." The dragon's chest burned with more than fire. He looked at the boy, this small, fragile creature who carried the power of the past, and felt something he had never felt before. Gratitude. But the battle was not over. The hunters regrouped. Their leader, larger than the rest, dropped lower, its weapons glowing a dark red. It let out a mechanical screech, and the others followed, diving as one. The boy stepped back, his face tense, the object still glowing in his grip. "They are coming again." The dragon spread his wings. "Let them." The sky exploded. Fire and steel clashed as the hunters rained their weapons down. But the dragon was no longer weak. He rose into the air, his wings beating with new force. His fire split the heavens, tearing through one machine, then another. Claws ripped through metal. Tails smashed against wings. The hunters fell like burning stars, one after another. The forest below shook as wreckage rained down. The boy watched, eyes wide, as the dragon fought with fury reborn. But deep inside, he knew this power was not endless. The object in his hands pulsed weaker with each surge. The light flickered, as if warning him that time was short. The dragon landed heavily, his claws crushing the soil. Smoke and fire filled the sky, but still 3 hunters remained. They circled, cautious now but still deadly. The boy shouted up at him. "The light won't last forever. You must finish this." The dragon's eyes burned. He understood. This gift was not endless. It was a chance, nothing more. A chance to end his hunters before death claimed him again. He rose once more, wings blazing with fire. The hunters dived, their weapons screaming. The dragon met them head-on. His roar shook the clouds, his fire split the sky. One by one, the hunters fell, broken and burning. Finally, only the leader remained. Larger, stronger, its weapons glowing brighter than the rest. It dived with a roar of steel, aiming straight for the dragon's heart. The boy gripped the glowing object tighter. "Take all of it. Take everything." The object burst with light, sending the last of its energy into the dragon. His body blazed like a sun, every scale glowing. He rose into the air, higher and higher, and struck with a firestorm greater than any before. The leader screamed, its body melting under the storm. It fell from the sky, crashing into the earth with an explosion that shook the world. The dragon hovered, his wings trembling, the last of the borrowed power fading. Slowly he descended, landing heavily in the ruined forest. Smoke curled from his body, but his eyes still burned bright. The boy dropped to his knees, the object in his hands now dark and broken. Its light was gone, its power spent. He looked up at the dragon, breathing hard. "It's over, we did it." The dragon lowered his head, his eyes locked on the boy. His voice rumbled, softer now, almost gentle. "You gave me life when I had none. You fought when I could not. You, a human child, have shown me what even dragons forget." The boy tilted his head, tired but smiling faintly. "And what is that?" The dragon's gaze softened. "That courage is not born from strength. It is born from heart." The boy leaned back, exhausted. The forest around them was broken, filled with fire and ruin, but in the center of it stood a dragon and a child. Alive, together. The dragon's chest rose and fell slowly. The ancient beast who once brought only death now looked at the boy not as prey, not as enemy, but as something new. An equal, partner. But deep inside, the dragon knew this was only the beginning. The hunters were gone, but more would come. The humans who feared his kind would not rest. The machines that chased him would not stop. And now, with this boy at his side, everything would change. The dragon turned his gaze to the horizon. His voice was low, but filled with fire. "Child, what is your name?" The boy smiled weakly, his eyes closing from exhaustion. "Aaron," the dragon rumbled, the name rolling deep in his chest. "Aaron, then from this day we stand together. You and I." The boy's eyes opened just enough to meet his gaze. Together. The forest fell silent again. The battle ended. But the bond between them had only just begun. And far away, beyond the clouds, new shadows stirred. Watching, waiting, the forest lay in ruins. Ash drifted like snow through the air, and smoke curled from the wreckage of broken machines. The ground was scarred with fire, and silence spread where battle had ended. The dragon stood among the destruction, his wings folded, his golden eyes glowing faintly. His body was heavy, his strength not fully returned, but he was alive. More alive than he had been in centuries. And beside him stood the boy, Aaron, small, fragile, yet unbroken. His clothes were torn, his face smeared with dirt and ash. In his hands he held the shattered remains of the glowing object, now nothing more than cold metal. It had given its last gift, and its power was gone. The dragon lowered his head to look at him closely. The boy looked back, tired but steady, his eyes bright with courage. "You should have run," the dragon rumbled softly. "You should have left me to die." Aaron shook his head. "No. If I ran, you would not be here. And if you are alive, then maybe I can change something too." The dragon blinked slowly. Change. The word echoed inside him like a forgotten song. He had lived so long in hatred and war that he had forgotten what it meant to dream of change. But this boy had reminded him. The dragon's chest rose and fell, his voice deep but thoughtful. "All my life I have been a weapon. To humans, to machines, even to my own kind. I have known nothing but fire and death. Yet you, a child, gave me another path." Aaron stepped closer, placing a hand on the dragon's massive claw. His touch was small, warm, fragile, yet steady. "You don't have to be a weapon anymore. You don't have to be alone." The dragon's eyes softened. "Alone? That word had haunted him for centuries. He was the last of his kind, the last dragon to walk the skies. But now, standing beside this boy, he did not feel alone anymore. A new bond had formed, stronger than fire, stronger than blood. The dragon lowered his head until his snout touched the ground near Aaron. His golden eyes locked with the boy's. Then let us stand together, you and I, dragon and human, no longer enemies, but something greater. Aaron smiled faintly, his face lighting up despite his exhaustion. Together, the dragon rumbled, a deep sound that shook the earth, but it was not a growl of anger. It was a vow, promise. The sky above them cleared slowly, the smoke fading into pale blue. For the first time in a long time, the dragon looked at the horizon not with dread, but with purpose. But peace did not last long. Far away, high in the clouds, new shadows moved. Larger machines, stronger than the ones before. Their eyes glowed red, watching, tracking. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. The dragon sensed them. His golden eyes narrowed. They will return. They always return. Aaron tightened his fists. He looked up at the dragon, his voice steady. Then we will be ready. The dragon tilted his head, studying him. You are but one boy. What can you do against armies? Against worlds that fear me? Aaron's gaze did not falter. I don't know yet, but I know this. Together, we are stronger than we are apart. The dragon felt a strange heat in his chest. Not fire, but something brighter. Hope. He spread his wings slowly, each movement sending sparks into the air. The sound of his wings was like thunder rolling across the forest. He bent low, his voice low but firm. Climb on, Aaron. The boy blinked, surprised. What? Climb? The dragon repeated. If we are to stand together, you must ride with me. The sky will be our path. Aaron hesitated only for a moment before stepping forward. With careful hands and strong resolve, he climbed onto the dragon's back, holding tightly to the ridges of his scales. The dragon felt the boy's weight, small, almost nothing, but heavy with meaning. For the first time in centuries, he did not rise into the air alone. His wings spread wide. His body glowed faintly with the last traces of the strange energy. The wind gathered around him, and with a single powerful beat, he soared into the sky. The forest shrank below them, the ruins of battle fading to smoke. Higher and higher they rose, into the open sky. Aaron held on tightly, the wind rushing against his face, but he did not cry out in fear. Instead, his eyes shone with wonder. The dragon's roar split the heavens. But this roar was not of pain or rage. It was a roar of rebirth. A roar that declared to the world that the last dragon still lived. And now he was not alone. Aaron leaned forward, his voice carried by the wind. Where will we go? The dragon's eyes burned like suns as he looked toward the endless horizon. Where the stars call us. Where the war awaits. Where destiny demands. The boy smiled, his heart racing. Then let's go. The dragon's wings beat harder, faster, carrying them toward the unknown. Behind them, the earth smoldered. Ahead of them, the future stretched wide. Dangerous, uncertain, but alive with possibility. Together, dragon and human flew into the dawn. Two lives bound by courage, by choice, by something greater than either had ever known. And far above, beyond the stars, something watched. Something vast. Something waiting. The true story was only beginning.